The galaxy had laughed. They called humanity weak, predictable, a species not worth noticing. Entire fleets of alien armadas hovered above our colonies, their weapons humming with quiet menace, confident that the humans would surrender without a fight. And yet, somewhere in the chaos, a single human stood, staring up at the impossible odds with nothing but determination in their eyes. No reinforcements, no secret weapons, just a planet, a handful of ships, and the raw ingenuity of a species the galaxy had underestimated. Every heartbeat echoed the tension, the fear, the anger, the unshakable courage that had carried humanity from primitive shelters on Earth to the edge of the stars. And in that moment, as alien scanners swept the skies and warships braced for annihilation, a question lingered like fire across the void. What happens when a species dismissed as fragile suddenly refuses to be defeated? The galaxy was about to find out. The day had begun like any other on Terra Station 9. Commander Elias Varnak moved through the narrow corridors with quiet efficiency, the hum of life support systems blending with distant chatter from the crew. For him, this station had been home for almost a decade, a place of routine, reports, and maintenance schedules. But it was more than that. It was a fragile sanctuary of human ingenuity, a bastion of survival at the edge of a galaxy that often forgot we existed. Elias paused by the observation deck and looked out at the expanse of stars. They stretched endlessly, each one a potential world, a possible threat, or a home yet to be discovered. He had always loved this view, the way the light of distant suns flickered like distant promises. But lately it felt different. There was tension in the void, a quiet that pressed against the station's hull, and he knew it wasn't just routine systems checks or bureaucratic oversights. Something was coming, something the galaxy hadn't yet named. Life on the station had its small comforts. He had friends, colleagues who became family over years spent in cramped quarters, and routines that kept fear at bay. He enjoyed the brief quiet of the hydroponics bay, where green tendrils of plants grew under artificial sun, a tiny oasis amidst metal and circuits. He still remembered the first time he touched soil from Earth, the warmth and the grit of it under his fingers, and the odd sense that no matter how far humanity stretched across the stars, a part of us would always belong to that simple, fragile planet. Yet even in these small joys, Elias could not ignore the patterns that had begun to emerge. Intelligence reports trickled in from the outer colonies, fleets massing on the edge of known space, unexplained energy surges, and communications scrambled by interference no one could trace. The analysts whispered about the Zerth Collective, a species that had dominated entire sectors with overwhelming force and an unyielding belief in their superiority. They considered humans inconsequential, a species clinging stubbornly to a single blue planet, unworthy of strategic attention. It should have been comforting in a way to know that the galaxy had dismissed them. But for Elias, the signs were ominous. He had trained for decades, drilled for emergencies, and memorized protocols for threats that had never existed. Yet he could feel in a way no protocol could capture that this was different. The galaxy was about to awaken, and humans would no longer be invisible. His personal life offered little distraction from the looming storm. A holo call with his sister had reminded him of what he was protecting. Families back on Earth, colonies scattered across light years, lives that depended on him making the right choices. And still, he had moments of quiet doubt. Could humanity really stand against a force that had ended entire civilizations without hesitation? Could the courage of a few, or even many, match the relentless precision of an enemy that had never known defeat? And yet, Elias carried the spark that made humans human. The spark of defiance, of ingenuity, of hope that refused to die even in the face of certain destruction. It was in the way his crew worked together, improvising solutions when systems failed. It was in the stubbornness with which humanity claimed space that no one else valued. It was in every improvised shuttle repair, every calculation made in minutes that the galaxy thought would take hours, every life-risking choice that demonstrated something the Zerth or any other species would never truly understand. Humans did not surrender. As he finished his morning rounds, the station's sensors blinked again, this time with a clarity that caused his stomach to tighten. A small fleet had been detected, advancing faster than projected, and their energy signatures were unfamiliar. Elias exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of responsibility settle like armor over his shoulders. He had trained for this, and yet training was never enough when the stakes were this high. The galaxy was watching, and humanity had not yet revealed its true strength. Somewhere beyond the stars, the first warning shots would soon be fired. And in that moment, Commander Elias Varnek knew the ordinary life he had clung to was over. Humanity was about to step into the void, and the galaxy would finally realize that a species dismissed as fragile had come prepared to astonish. The first signs of the Zerth fleet arrived like a shadow across the void. Sensors flared red as unknown warships, angular and silent, slip us through subspace corridors, approaching Terra Station 9 faster than any human calculations had predicted. The station's automated alerts shrieked through the corridors, but it was the human element, the crew's eyes, their trained instincts, that turned a warning into preparation. Commander Elias Varnak moved through the command deck like a conductor orchestrating a symphony of urgency. Divert all power to shields. Launch reconnaissance drones on a staggered trajectory. I want eyes on every incoming ship before they exit subspace. His voice carried calm authority, yet under it lay a pulse of tension that no synthetic system could replicate. Every officer knew the stakes. A single miscalculation could cost billions of lives and make Earth's distant colonies a target for extinction. As the Zerth fleet emerged from the shimmer of faster-than-light travel, the humans saw them, not hundreds, but thousands of ships, vast and geometrically precise, a forest of deadly craft stretching across the stars. The alien vessels pulsed with an energy unfamiliar to the station's scanners. Their weapons glowed with quiet lethality, a promise of annihilation. And yet, even as dread pressed against the crew's nerves, a spark ignited in Elias's mind. Humans had survived impossible odds before. They had faced plagues, asteroids, and wars that spanned planets. Now they would survive the galaxy's greatest underestimation. Tactical decisions were made at a speed no algorithm could match. Recon drones zipped through gaps in the enemy formation, feeding data back to the station's command matrix. Engineers rerouted energy from non-essential systems to weapons arrays. Every human hand became an extension of necessity, improvising solutions in real time. A maintenance drone that had been scheduled for routine repairs was modified to deploy decoy flares, mimicking the station's power signature to draw fire away from populated sectors. Focus fire on their flank. Their forward shields are weaker, Elias commanded, eyes scanning a hollow projection that layered real-time readings over three-dimensional maps of the incoming armada. Each decision was a gamble, each movement a test of human intuition, ingenuity, and courage. In moments like this, strategy and instinct were inseparable. The first salvo struck. The alien energy beams lanced through the void, tearing chunks of metal from the outer hull. Explosions rippled across the station's surface, sending alarms blaring and shaking corridors with kinetic force. Crew members gritted their teeth, gripping rails and braces as they guided systems through cascading failures. And still they adapted. Deflector shields were recalibrated mid-fire. Weapons turrets pivoted with almost preternatural speed, targeting weak points the aliens had not anticipated. Elias's mind raced. Every human tactic had its counter, every move predicted by alien analysis. Yet humans were unpredictable by design. The Zerth had studied civilizations for millennia, cataloged behaviors, and anticipated outcomes. But they had never faced humans operating under desperation, ingenuity, and courage fused into a single unstoppable force. The first shock wave of battle was met not with surrender, but with improvisation. Automated turrets reconfigured to create overlapping fields of fire, drones maneuvering in swarm patterns the enemy could not interpret, and engineers creating makeshift shields from decommissioned modules. Even as tactical maneuvers bought precious minutes, Elias knew the human advantage lay not in raw firepower, but in creativity. They had limited ships, limited energy reserves, and limited time, yet every crew member became a weapon, a shield, a mind calculating possibilities faster than the Zerth could anticipate. One technician rigged the station's fusion reactor to pulse energy bursts outward, creating a gravitational distortion that sent a cluster of enemy vessels spinning off course. Another rerouted life support tubes to launch a stream of plasma like a secondary weapon, disrupting communications across part of the alien formation. Amid the chaos, Elias caught glimpses of individual heroism. Petty disputes over equipment or protocol vanished, replaced by an unspoken code. Survival required ingenuity, courage, and trust in one another. A young pilot named Kale navigated his shuttle through a narrow canyon of debris left by the station's defensive maneuvers, using it as cover to launch targeted strikes against Zerth frigates. His heart pounded, but his fingers moved with precision, born of both training and instinct. Kale had faced death countless times before, but never on this scale and never with the fate of a species resting on his actions. And still, the aliens pressed forward, unrelenting and cold. Their patterns shifted with terrifying speed, their weapons adapting to human countermeasures almost as quickly as they were deployed. For every victory, there was a setback. For every ship disabled, another advanced. And yet, human morale did not falter. Even in moments when the void seemed to close in, the crew found sparks of hope in each small success, and in those sparks, they found courage. It was then that Elias made a daring decision, one that risked the station itself. The Zerth had established a forward formation near a critical junction in human defenses. To strike it would require exposing a vulnerable sector, but delaying could allow the alien fleet to consolidate, potentially overwhelming the station. Elias hesitated only for a heartbeat before giving the order. Prepare the forward pulse. Divert auxiliary energy to the weapons core. Execute on my mark. In the observation deck, the crew watched as energy surged through conduits and pulsed into the main cannons. The station shuddered under the strain, alarms wailing, lights flickering, but Elias's confidence did not waver. This was humanity at its rawest, unflinching, adaptable, and daring beyond expectation. The Zerth did not anticipate this. No one had. The pulse fired, a concentrated beam of energy that tore through the alien forward formation. Several vessels spiraled out of control, colliding in a spectacular, deadly dance of metal and light. The human crew cheered briefly, but there was no time to celebrate. The Zerth retaliated with a precision strike, targeting the station's energy conduits. Sparks rained down, and a secondary explosion rocked the hull. Elias's hands flew over controls, rerouting power and coordinating emergency crews. Each decision carried life or death consequences. Every second mattered. Yet amid the chaos, a realization settled like fire across the bridge. The galaxy's most feared armada had met something they did not understand, something it had underestimated: humanity. And then came the moment that would define the battle. Sensors picked up a concentrated cluster of Zerth command ships, moving with terrifying intent directly toward the station's heart. Their trajectory suggested they would breach defenses in minutes, obliterating to destroying the station and everything aboard. Every officer froze. Every calculation ran through Elias's mind at lightning speed. There was no margin for error, no backup plan, no room for hesitation. Elias's eyes narrowed. "This is it," he murmured. "Prepare the contingency. We end this on our terms, or we don't survive at all." Outside, the alien fleet advanced, a wall of precision and power. Inside, the human crew braced, hearts hammering, minds racing, every instinct trained for survival. The moment of truth had arrived, and in the silent pause before the storm, a thought echoed in Elias's mind, louder than any alarm or siren. The galaxy had never seen humans fight like this, and it would never be the same again. Of light and metal, their weapons calibrated to incinerate everything within minutes. The hum of the station's shields was almost drowned out by the pounding of human hearts. Every crew member knew what was coming. Every human aboard Terra Station 9 understood that the line between survival and annihilation was measured in seconds. Commander Elias Varnak's eyes scanned the hollow projection of the enemy's formation. The command ships were synchronized, moving as one mind across the void, intent on striking the station's heart. Conventional weapons would not hold. Standard tactics would fail. Humanity's survival depended on improvisation, ingenuity, and daring, qualities the galaxy had never truly reckoned with. He turned to his officers, each one tense, poised, ready to act. "This is our moment. The Zerth think they control this battlefield. They do not. We will dictate the terms. Every system, every ship, every human here will fight like it matters, because it does. No one hesitated. Engineers rerouted auxiliary power to the station's experimental pulse array, a device intended only for emergencies. Pilots prepared intercept drones armed with modified graviton torpedoes, weapons never tested in combat. Every element of the station became part of a single, coordinated strike, an orchestra of desperate brilliance. The alien fleet advanced, its energy fields shimmering like liquid steel. As they fired, Elias's plan unfolded. The pulse array surged to life, channeling energy from every reactor in the station. Lights flickered and alarms shrieked. The hull groaned under the strain. Every second counted. Every millisecond carried the weight of billions of human lives. A warning blared. The forward shields were failing. Debris from the Zerith bombardment began to tear through the outer hull. Crew members dove for cover, gripping rails and consoles, adrenaline sharpening every movement. Yet even in the chaos, the humans adapted. Turrets were recalibrated mid-fire. Recon drones drew enemy attention, weaving in and out of alien formations, creating illusions of multiple attack vectors. Elias focused on the heart of the command fleet. The pulse array's energy converged into a concentrated beam, a bright, blinding lance aimed at the core of the Zerith formation. He could feel the weight of the station beneath him, the lives of every human on Terra Station 9 and across scattered colonies, pressing down like gravity. "Fire!" he commanded. The beam erupted, tearing through the void like sunlight through storm clouds. Alien vessels spun, shields failing, energy fields collapsing under the unprecedented human assault. The Zerth had never encountered this, a species improvising, adapting, and striking with both courage and cunning in ways no algorithm could predict. Explosions illuminated the darkness, each blast a testament to human ingenuity and daring. Yet the victory was far from assured. A massive Zerth battleship broke formation, accelerating toward the station's core. It was a juggernaut, a concentration of firepower and precision meant to crush resistance. For a heartbeat, fear gripped the command deck. Then Elias acted. He personally took control of the graviton torpedo drones, guiding them through gaps in the alien formation. The piloting required every ounce of skill, every shred of instinct. The drones weaved past energy beams, avoiding debris, threading impossible paths. One misstep, one delay, and the torpedoes would detonate prematurely or miss entirely. Humanity's fate hung in the balance. With a precise series of maneuvers, the drones reached their target. Elias synchronized their detonation with the pulse array's final surge. Time seemed to stretch. A silence, deafening in its tension, fell across the station. Then, the explosion. The Zerth command ship erupted in a bloom of fire and energy. Shockwaves rippled across the fleet, causing other ships to collide or spin out of control. The alien formation faltered, disoriented by the audacity and precision of human tactics. Pilots and engineers let out cheers, though they were quickly swallowed by the ongoing chaos. Still, Elias did not relax. Sensors showed the remaining fleet regrouping, a reminder that the battle was not yet won. And then, another wave approached. Not thousands of ships, but a single massive vessel cloaked in shadows, bearing a signature that chilled every crew member. It was a Zerth dreadnought, a weapon of war so massive and lethal, it was considered a galaxy-wide terror. Its appearance was deliberate, its intent was clear: destroy the station, erase humanity's presence, and send a message to the rest of the galaxy. Elias's hands flew over the controls, coordinating every human resource simultaneously. Pilots launched drones in multi-directional attacks. Weapons turrets adjusted fire arcs in real time. Engineers improvised kinetic barriers using magnetic flux fields. Every human aboard Terra Station 9 moved as one organism, a collective defiance of a galaxy that had underestimated them. The dreadnought opened fire, energy beams lancing toward the station with deadly precision. Shields shuddered, sparks raining across the command deck. And in that moment, Elias saw the possibility, the only way to end this confrontation. It was risky, almost impossibly so. The station would take damage, the human cost could be catastrophic, but it was the only chance to survive and turn the tide. Full energy into the pulse array, synchronized with all graviton drones, Target the dreadnought's core. Now the crew obeyed. Time slowed in their perception. Every sensor, every monitor, every heartbeat seemed magnified. The pulse array flared, converging on the target. Drones struck from angles no alien algorithms could anticipate. The combined energy tore through the void, striking the dreadnought with the force of a miniature star. There was silence, then chaos. The ship's hull ruptured, energy cascades exploding outward. A final cry of mechanical fury. The dreadnought shuddered and spun, then fractured, scattering debris across the void. The remaining Zerth vessels hesitated, confusion rippling through their ranks. Humanity had broken the command structure, undone what the galaxy considered an unassailable force. From the observation deck, Elias looked out across the stars. Smoke and debris drifted across the void, a testament to both destruction and survival. Humans had faced annihilation and emerged not just alive, but triumphant. The galaxy had finally seen the truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not predictable. Humanity was unstoppable when forced to fight, forced to innovate, forced to survive. And yet, even in the glow of victory, Elias knew this was only the beginning. The Zerth would remember. Other civilizations would take note. Humanity's rise had only just begun, and the galaxy would never again view Earth, and its people the same way. The stars stretched endlessly, indifferent yet beautiful, and one question echoed across the void. Had the galaxy truly prepared for what humans were capable of? For now, the answer was clear. Humans had shown their true power, but what came next remained a mystery. Here's a cinematic, emotionally resonant HFY resolution and impact section, 900 words, 5.5 minutes read. For your story, the galaxy mocked humanity until we showed them our true power. The void was quiet now, but not empty. Scattered debris from the shattered Zerth vessels drifted slowly, glinting against distant starlight. Terra Station 9 bore the scars of battle, burned hull plating, flickering lights, and scorched corridors. But every mark was proof that humanity had endured. Commander Elias Varnak moved through the aftermath with a steady gait, surveying both damage and survival. The crew was exhausted, faces pale from adrenaline and stress. Yet their eyes carried a spark that no alien weapon could extinguish. Defiance, pride, and the unshakable knowledge that they had survived the impossible. Across the observation deck, the stars seemed calmer now, as if the galaxy itself were holding its breath, witnessing the consequence of human courage. Reports came in from the farthest colonies, signals of shock, relief, and awe. Humanity had not only survived the Zerth onslaught, but had forced them to retreat, scattering what had been thought to be an unstoppable fleet. The news traveled faster than any message, rippling through interstellar communication networks, leaving allies inspired and enemies reconsidering their assumptions. Elias paused at the station's central core, hands resting on the control console. For a moment, he allowed himself to feel the weight of what had just transpired. Every decision, every improvisation, every risk taken by him and his crew had culminated in this fragile, hard-won victory. It was more than survival. It was a statement. Humanity had arrived, not as a species to be dismissed, but as a force the galaxy would have to reckon with. The crew moved around him, tending to repairs, checking systems, and assisting the injured. Yet there was laughter as well, quiet chuckles that rose from the tension like soft wind through steel corridors. Even in the shadow of destruction, humanity's resilience shone through. Small victories were celebrated. A successful repair, a drone saved from destruction, a colleague rescued from debris. Each act, no matter how minor, became part of the larger story. Humans could endure, adapt, and thrive in the face of forces far beyond expectation. News from the scattered colonies confirmed it. Human ingenuity had not only prevented disaster, but had demonstrated a capacity for adaptation that other civilizations could scarcely comprehend. Engineers had rerouted failing systems with improvised solutions. Pilots had executed maneuvers previously thought impossible. And the collective courage of a species underestimated for centuries had reshaped the battlefield. The galaxy had seen a glimpse of humanity's true nature, audacious, resourceful, and unyielding. In a quiet corner of the observation deck, Elias allowed his gaze to drift outward. Beyond the smoke and debris, new possibilities awaited. Humanity's victory was not just tactical, it was symbolic. The Zerth, and all who had doubted humans, had learned that courage and ingenuity were weapons as potent as any fleet or laser cannon. There was hope in that lesson, hope that transcended survival. Humans could challenge the odds, defy expectation, and rise above limitations imposed by the galaxy's assumptions. He thought of the crew, of their exhaustion, their fear, their moments of doubt, and their acts of brilliance. Each person had contributed to the victory. Each human had, in their own way, made the impossible possible. And in that realization lay the story of humanity itself, a species that faced extinction countless times and emerged stronger, wiser, and more determined. Outside the station, the remnants of the Zerth fleet lingered in scattered formation, a warning to those who might underestimate humans again. But for Elias, it was more than a warning. It was a testament. The galaxy could challenge humanity, threaten it, attempt to erase it, but it could never extinguish what made humans unique. Creativity under pressure, courage in the face of despair, and the refusal to surrender. Elias turned to address the crew, his voice calm but resonant. We've shown the galaxy who we are. Not through numbers, not through intimidation, but through ingenuity, courage, and the will to survive. Today, humanity did not just fight to live. We fought to remind the stars that we belong among them. A silence followed, one of reflection rather than fear. It was a moment to honor both loss and triumph, a pause to feel the magnitude of human achievement. And yet, within that silence lay the promise of the future, the assurance that humans would continue to rise, to explore, to challenge, and to astonish. As the crew resumed their duties, repairing and recalibrating, Elias allowed himself a small smile. They had faced annihilation and survived. They had taken the first step in a new chapter, a chapter where humanity would be remembered not as a weak species clinging to one planet, but as a force capable of reshaping the galaxy's understanding of courage, intelligence, and resilience. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the observation deck, distant suns blinking with indifferent beauty. And as the light reflected on the worn consoles, the scorched hull, and the faces of those who had endured, one thought lingered in Elias's mind. The galaxy had mocked us once, but now every corner of space would know the truth. Humanity is not just a species, it is a revelation. And with that, Terra Station 9, battered but unbroken, prepared to continue its journey among the stars, a testament to what humans could achieve when driven by hope, courage, and the unshakable belief in their own power.